Chapter 76, The More Illumination, the More Temptation. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. Boom. The two powerful forces clashed together, forming a violent collision. All the leaves were completely powdered. Their warrior from Square Commandery took more than 10 steps back and then managed to steady himself with effort. He had sustained severe internal injuries. He could feel the spiritual blood flowing inside him, like a huge hammer thumping him on the chest. Zhang Yuochen, however, stood calm and still, with ease. Not even a fringe of his garb was damaged. It can't be. A warrior in the initial stage of the Black Realm can't be this powerful. Their warrior from Square Commandery clenched at his chest, staring at Zhang Yuochen in disbelief. Ziqian appeared behind him and said, "Don't you know he once ranked first in the yellow board in Yunwu Commandery? Ignorance is also a crime." Another powerful warrior. The warrior's face changed color, and one word came to him: flee. He immediately used a body martial technique. He stepped on the ground with his soles and dashed out suddenly. His speed reached 32 meters per second. But Zhang Yuochen was even faster. He soon overtook the warrior and attacked him with one finger on his spine. Boom. Their warrior gave out a shrill cry and fell to the ground. You destroyed my mid-heaven meridian." Lying on the ground, their warrior shivered all over and stared at Zhang Yuochen with strong hatred. If a warrior's mid-heaven meridian was destroyed, he would never make further progress in his cultivation. In other words, he could be seen as a half-wreck from now on. Puff. Ziqian beheaded the warrior with a slash. Red blood gushed out of his neck. Zhang Yuochen stared at Ziqian. He would have been disqualified from being in the school of the martial market, because I destroyed his mid-heaven meridian. He was no longer a threat to us. I don't see the necessity of killing him. Ziqian put her sword back with a cold look. Since he could practice into the advanced stage of the Black Realm at such an age, there must be some sort of strong power supporting him behind the scenes. If he survived, he would seek revenge. Zhang Yuochen could not respond to that. To be honest, Ziqian had done nothing wrong. But Zhang Yuochen still believed the warrior's death was completely unnecessary. The destruction of his mid-heaven meridian was a serious punishment for any warrior. Ziqian searched the warrior's body and found 21 spiritual crystals, 500 silver coins, and a box with beast's eyeballs in it. She opened the box. Then her pretty face beamed with delight. 6 beast's eyeballs. That's 3 inferior class level 2 savage beasts. Ziqian put the box away immediately. Then she glanced at Zhang Yuochen and asked, "You are a prince, so I assume you aren't hard up?" "No," said Zhang Yuochen. "Since that's the case, I'll take all the spiritual crystals and silver coins." Ziqian did not stand on ceremony and put the 21 spiritual crystals and 500 silver coins in her bag. Zhang Yuochen was a little curious and asked, "Are you hard up?" Ziqian said seriously, "Even a warrior with high talent can't become powerful without practice resources. But the resources cost a lot of money." "Of course, a lofty prince like you who has never lacked any resource since birth can't understand the importance of money. You can take his war knife." Ziqian kicked the war knife, a third-class genuine martial arm, towards Zhang Yuochen. Zhang Yuochen caught the war knife unceremoniously and put it away in his spatial ring. Ziqian was slightly astonished seeing his ring. She stared at it and asked, "A spatial treasure?" "Yes." Zhang Yuochen simply told her the truth. "Yes, I can give it to you if you like it." Zhang Yuochen took the white phoenix carved ring off and passed it to Ziqian. He said with a smile, "To be honest, there are too many decorative patterns on this spatial ring. It suits women more." Zhang Yuochen felt nonchalant about it. It was just a semi-finished spatial ring. He did not love it dearly. He could make a new one anyway. But to Ziqian, a spatial treasure was priceless and extraordinarily rare. He could give it to me, for free. Was the 9th prince so short-sighted? Ziqian stared at Zhang Yuochen intensely and found a gentle smile on his face. It seemed that he meant it from the bottom of his heart. Ziqian glanced at him coldly and did not take the spatial ring. She said, "Don't you know that men can't give women rings at will?" After saying this, Ziqian walked up to the silver dragon lion and dug about a kilogram of spiritual brawn out. Zhang Yuochen's hand stretched halfway in the air. He felt a little surprised at first, and then he laughed. I want to give it to you simply because you are carrying too many things. It will be easier to store them in the spatial ring. What are you thinking about? I'm only 16. How can I have any other intentions? Zikian's look grew even colder. She threw the spiritual brawn to Zhang Yuochen, and then stretched out a hand. She said, "Pass me the space treasure." Zhang Yuochen took the spiritual brawn and handed the spatial ring to Zikian. How does it work? She asked. Just transfer your genuine qi into the ring, he replied. Zikian transferred her genuine qi. A layer of white light began to glow immediately on the ring's surface. She put her hand into the ring and found that the internal space was not that big, only the size of a small house. It was different from the legends, which said you could put mountains, even heaven, and earth in these treasures. But it was enough for putting away some personal belongings. Naturally, Zikian liked the spatial ring very much and hated to part with it. She glanced at Zhang Yuochen with her beautiful eyes and asked, "What will you use if you give it to me?" "I have others." With a gentle smile, Zhang Yuochen took all the things in the spatial ring out, and put them into the spatial crystal's internal space. Zikian took the spatial ring again and started to put all her belongings into it. Soon, she had nothing on her hand but a phoenix-patterned jade ring. This is indeed a spatial treasure. How wonderful! The more Zikian looked at the ring, the more she liked it. She took out 30 spiritual crystals from the spatial ring and handed them to Zhang Yuochen. "I won't have it for free," she said. "Here, take these." Zhang Yuochen shook his head. "If I wanted to sell it, I'd sell it for at least 200 spiritual crystals." Zikian's face became cold. She looked at the spatial ring. "If that's the price, I won't take it." Zhang Yuochen laughed. "If I wanted to sell it, of course, you'd have to pay me that much. But now, I want to give it to you, so you don't have to pay me even one silver coin." Zikian flashed her pearl-white teeth. "Okay, I'll take it. But why must you give me such an expensive treasure?" Zhang Yuochen kept walking ahead. "Because we hit it off," he said blandly. Zikian asked, "Don't you worry that I'll kill you and rob you of your other treasures?" Zhang Yuochen glanced at her. "Most people don't return kindness with ingratitude. After all, there are more good people in this world than bad. I just don't believe I'll be so unfortunate to meet a bad person." "What are you doing?" Nobody knew when Zikian's sword was drawn from the sheath and pointed at Zhang Yuochen's neck. If she struck a little bit forward, Zhang Yuochen would lose his head. But Zhang Yuochen stared at Zikian calmly. He secretly transferred his genuine qi into the vessel of spirit, which formed a 10-meter space domain. If Zikian ever dared to do anything, Zhang Yuochen could kill her faster. Zikian, however, was not conscious of the space domain. She stared at Zhang Yuochen closely with a struggling look, and then put her sword away. "I just want you to know, you are too naive. People are dangerous, and one should always guard against the harm others might do. I suppose this is your first time practicing outside the palace?" Seeing Zikian put her sword away, Zhang Yuochen scattered the space domain as well. He simply said, "Yes." Zikian was speechless. She did not feel like talking to him about it anymore, so she said, "Let's keep hunting the warriors from Square Commandery." Staring at Zikian's receding figure, Zhang Yuochen rubbed his chin and smiled. Her movement is exactly the same as Chen Libing from Hades Department. Only professional killers can train their hearing and smell to such an extent. I was right. She is also a killer from the Hades Department. How could Zhang Yuochen be naive when he was a man who had already died once? He was on guard against her when she got close to him intentionally. The only thing he wasn't sure about was whether she came from the Hades Department or not. After constant probing, Zhang Yuochen was finally sure of her identity. But even knowing the truth, Zhang Yuochen wasn't frightened at all. He saw it as a kind of experience. "Miss Z, wait for me, don't be so fast." Zhang Yuochen trotted after her. The first round of the exam would take 3 days. Before the first day darkened, Zhang Yuochen and Zikian met another 2 warriors from Square Commandery. Needless to say, Zikian killed them both. Beast's eyeballs, crystals, and silver coins were taken by Zikian. All the weapons and pills were taken by Zhang Yuochen. "It's night. We can finally have a good rest," said Jiang Yuochen. Ziqian rolled her eyes at Jiang Yuochen. Most warriors will do the same as you at night. They will find somewhere safe and prepare to sleep. This is the perfect time to hunt them down. We need to kill at least 20 warriors from Square Commandery tonight to finish the task. Task? What task? Asked Jiang Yuochen. It's the task we set for ourselves, Ziqian replied. Square Commandery robbed Yunwu Commandery of our mines, and even 7 of our cities. Countless soldiers and people died brutally. Don't you want revenge for them? What's more, Prince Huoxing said publicly that he will kill you one day. Don't you want to kill him? Don't you want to teach Square Commandery a lesson? Jiang Yuochen could not respond to that at all. After a while, Jiang Yuochen finally replied, let's fight.